Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Chaos.
Well, I know he had a good time.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. Nighty-night, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. Welcome to the Swipe Wrong Podcast. I am Chaos. I'm the guy that gets to take you through some of the stories and some of the events and just the swipe right world. We are the number one podcast among strip clubs that serve crab cakes as a buffet for lunch. Just bad optics there, guys. Just bad optics. How's everybody doing? We're still in the upside down. We are just about out of the upside down. We have full new episodes coming up here shortly within the next week or two. I believe actually next week, but maybe the next 2 weeks that we'll have it. Our season 3 will start, and I know I've said it before, it is going to be the best one yet. And that's not like, hey, we need a marketing campaign. No, that is legit. The stories are week to week, the best ones that we've had week to week so far, even though we've had some amazing weeks. Thank you everybody for who's tuned in, who's shared it, who's rated, liked, followed, put the word out there for everybody that, hey, this podcast is something that you should take a listen to because it does seem to be growing. And let's do the housekeeping, shall we? So how do you get a hold of us? You find me on the street, usually panhandling, something along those lines. But in case you don't see me there, you can email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. You can give us a call, 317-426-6616. Check out the website if you like, www.swipewrongpod.com. There is multiple ways, get in touch with us. Actually, the most common seems to be through Messenger on Facebook. So feel free, which, by the way, leads us to story time. Story time with me real quick before I get into the actual episode. So coming into season 3, there's going to be an episode where we talk to somebody, and it's a very insane story in my opinion. And when people ask, hey, what episode should I listen to? Which one would you recommend to get initiated into the podcast? I always say season 1, episode 3, Gone Catfishing, because I think that is all in all just the most bizarre story that we have, especially since it spans over so much time. There's quite a few crazy stories and interesting ones and just lessons that people learned along the way, but that's the one. This next one in season 3, I think might actually top that. So I was talking to a gentleman. He gave his story, and about 3 or 4 days later, one of the chat forums that we pop into to keep, our eye on what's going on in the dating world, a girl had posted something, screenshots of a conversation she had with somebody. Now, keep in mind, after somebody's been on the show, I usually keep in contact with them and we become friends, and it's just, organically how it happens. Well, one of the people who've been on the show is helped me set up the interview for this gentleman's story. She's like, I think it's him. I think this girl is talking about him. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. And so we kind of looked at it, and at one point, there was his name, and we're like, I think so too. And I fully get there's 3 sides to every story. I understand the way one person sees it is not always the way that the other person is going to see it. And the truth somewhere lies in the middle. And so what I did is I saw this person's name in the chat and I just instant messaged them. And this was on Facebook, one of the forums there. And I said, hey, because the feeling I got is they were relatively new to the dating community and the online dating world. So I was like, hey, just so you know, there's these other websites you can go to where you can reach out and you can say, hey, I ran into this situation. Has anybody else, do they know this person? Do they know who they are? Can I get any background? Do you have any insights into it? So I pretty much left that and just, hey, don't mean to bug you in the nicest way. Well, a couple weeks later, I would say probably about 10 days to 2 weeks later, I double checked that message just to see if it had been read. And since we weren't friends on Facebook, you don't really know. And I'm like, I wonder if she saw it. And I'm like, well, I'll send a voice message. Maybe the voice message will come through and she'll see that. And, so same thing, left a voice message saying, hey, there's these other communities. By all means, take a look at them. And I got within no more than 35 seconds, hey, why in the fuck are you messaging me? I didn't give you permission. Leave me the hell alone. I can't believe you'd reach out to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. There was nothing. There was just like, hey, just, since you kind of knew, look out for these things. And it kind of dawned on me, as it has, I guess, as we've gone through this Swipe Wrong Pod journey, is, sometimes people just, they like the ones who are sharing sometimes see it a little bit differently. And, who knows? Her inbox could have been flooded with 100 DMs of guys just saying, how you doing? Or sending the pictures they shouldn't send. So her guard is definitely up, but that's kind of what starts to happen. It's not going to stop me from reaching out to people and trying to help. That's, I feel like I have a unique insight because of the people I get to talk to. And if, that's what we're here for. We can help, Jay and I, we just want to help. Like, it is hard to navigate. There's a lot going on in all of this. So for that is why we have this episode. Between season 1 and season 2, we did swipe awareness. Season 2 to season 3 in the upside down, as I like to call it. We're going to do another swipe awareness, and that's what this episode is. And I'm sure between season 3 and season 4, we're going to do swipe awareness because that's what we're trying to bring to help out. So as I go through it, and if you guys did listen to the first version of this, there might be a couple of things that I touch on that I didn't there. And there might be a couple other things that we too. Look, there is a lot of good about the online dating community. I definitely don't want to make it sound like all is bad. It is survival of the fittest. It is a purge. Be careful. There's just things to look out for. But think about this. Especially since COVID, so many people want to stay inside and don't want to go out as much as they used to. Some people don't, some people were kind of shut in before, but after COVID, they're even a little bit, more of, hey, it's crazy out there. I don't want to go out there. I really just want to chill and watch TV all day, have my groceries delivered, and I just want to stay inside as much as possible. How do I meet people? I still want somebody to be with. How do I find that person? In the community that are on the apps, there is so many more access to potential partners that you can have. I mean, it is limitless. It is super convenient. I mean, like, you literally, it's turned itself into a video game. I mean, we talked about on an episode where I believe it was the polygamist episode where we talked about it's like you swipe and you're trying to level up and increase your highest score and go out there, and it turns itself into a video game. People, it's a distraction instead of, it's the new version of scrolling for a lot of people. And the stigma is gone. It like 5 to 10 years ago, it was, oh my God, I can't believe you're online. Oh my gosh, don't you know there's crazies out there? Well, yeah, there's still crazies out there, but there's so much more social acceptance to it. These are just getting bigger and bigger and more sites and more places to meet people. So it's really turned into something of, like, you can find more, you can go out and be around more people, and the stigma is down. And the way, like, blind dates, they're kind of gone, aren't they? Like, yeah, you don't entirely know what you're walking into in some cases, but you're talking to somebody for so long. You can be talking to them for a week before you actually meet in person. You can be talking to them overnight where you've exchanged 30 messages and you feel like you know them way better than, hey, I have a friend that's single too. Why don't you guys, hang out and see if you click? I mean, that's that was the way that it once was and still is sometimes, but at least now so there's a lot of good. There's a lot of good. And then there's a lot of the bad. And like the thing you gotta, like the number one thing that I probably don't, I try to get across, but I probably don't get across as much as I should, is just male or female or non-binary or however you identify, protect yourself. Just protect yourself. That's the number one thing. If you can protect yourself, then things are going to be okay. And even though you go through the extensive lengths to protect yourself, it's still, sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes it's just, sometimes shit happens. I've shared the story on the time years ago when I woke up in the middle of the night and somebody was going through my drawers, and I was like, what the fuck? You're not looking for a t-shirt. I can guarantee you that. So these things are just going to happen. And I know I go towards the women much more than I do the men, but that's the case. Like, you are the ones who I feel like need to protect yourselves more, because the crazy, it is there with women, but it's definitely there with men too. So background checks, male or female, do background checks. Whoever it is, just do background checks. And again, background checks, unfortunately, they don't say, hey, this is a level 5 clinger. This is batshit crazy. It doesn't tell you that, but it does give you more information like, hey, this person's still married. You might want to stay away from this person for a little while. You might want to chill out. All in all, it's just more information for you to have to make a decision on whether or not this is somebody you want to invest time in. That's all. That's all it comes back to. So definitely do those. The other thing that we always stress, or I should say maybe we don't stress enough, is don't meet somebody or have somebody meet you at your house the first night. Don't. Females especially, but males, same thing. Like, the cool thing is if you guys go out and you vibe and everything is going good and you're like, damn, I really, really want to hook up. I know it sounds bad, but I would much rather see people go get a motel room and hook up there than say, hey, let's go back to my house. Now, chances are things are not going to go bad, but it's still a version of protecting yourself, especially on the first night. And then whenever you decide that, hey, it's time, it's cool, we can go ahead and they can know where I live. Because, by, let's just say, date 3, you've already exchanged probably hundreds of text messages. You feel good about things. You've Facebook stalked them, I'm sure, and have a much better idea of who they are on the first night. Like the conversations that I think are interesting that people have the first night on a date and how they play out, I think are the most telling and the most interesting. You can text with somebody, and we've heard this a few times. You guys have heard it on the show, where they're like, oh my gosh, this person was so witty. They were so funny that, they made me laugh in text. And then when I got and sat across the table from them, whether it be drinks or dinner or coffee or whatever, they weren't the same. Well, what we figured out is, when people have time to put a text message together and write something, they can be a lot wittier than when they're face to face and come back right away. So you don't know, like, the vibe still can be different in the text than it can be in the actual conversation, or it can be even better. But like, that part still kind of surprised me. So things to watch out for: catfishing. Catfishing, when people hear it, I think they get the stigma of like, okay, somebody's setting up to get money from me. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's just attention. Like, there is truly times when catfishing is just as simple as somebody's putting out a picture that is not them, that is false, that they want to get people to come out and be attracted to them and to see them and to say things and create, energy around them. So, and that's not them. There's a little bit of deceit. That's as simple as catfishing. It doesn't have to be, hey, I need money, or hey, it doesn't have to be that at all. So, how many times have we heard like guys will complain about filters? That's their number one thing. Oh, there's filters. And then we got there, it looked entirely different. Well, guys use filters now too. That's the interesting thing. So it goes both ways, and guys will say that they're 6'2" and show up and be 5'5", and, so that there's always some sort of, well, not always, there is a lot of falsification. So catfishing, even though it's not as sinister as some people make it out to be, that it's still out there. There's something that goes along with just wanting attention. I mean, like I said, season 1, episode 3, Gone Catfishing, the epitome of that, and just how it kind of spanned over so much time. The other thing that people need to be careful of is there is a bit of addiction to the apps. Like, people can be addicted. It can feel like a video game where, hey, I'm gonna be on this all day and like I want the attention of somebody else. I want it is pretty common for people to say, hey, like the good morning text from 50 different people feels good. I feel wanted. It's different than waking up alone every day and rolling over to the cat or something. You know, it's the like it can mess with your mental health. And then sometimes it can be a big letdown where the good mornings don't always equate to the good nights or good afternoons or good nights, as I like to open the show with. And it can mess with like, hey, this person, I thought they wanted me, I felt good, and all of a sudden it turned out that all they wanted was sex, or they were married, or, you know, marriage is an interesting thing that when people are on the apps, both male and female, I think it's 45% or so of the profiles of men are married and 25% are women, somewhere along those lines. I might be misquoting the stat on the study, but like what I've found through talking to people with women, a lot of times it's an emotional connection, and the men are just trying to go out and, you know, slay the world with sex, and they may, a lot of them want emotional connection too, because they're missing something at home. And this is their new Ashley Madison. So you miss out on authenticity, which is another issue that's out there. Like the people, like the best line I think I've heard in the 2 seasons of doing this is, I asked somebody, when guys ask, what are you looking for? And her response was my integrity. I think that's the best answer to give. And it's from one of the best guests we've had, Date Like a Dude. And her reason was so perfect for it. It was that way nobody can kind of be like people can be a chameleon. Like if you say you want a relationship, then they could love bomb you into a relationship. If you say you're just looking for fun and friends with benefits, then they may adapt to that. But if you say you're looking for something like just keeping your integrity, then they're not going to be sure what to do. And you'll find their most authentic person, I think, from them. I think that's a great answer and a great path to go down. Now, some of the stuff that I've seen or read about recently that made me go, holy shit. And this is not that. So this is the part where I think if you're going to sit back and be like, okay, he's just trying to scare me, I promise I'm not. It's just stuff that surprised me. And in case it hasn't been on some of your radars, that I just want to put it out on your radars. That's all. I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things, is that I read something about a couple that was out having drinks at a bar. And they were out there having a good time, living their best life. And it was a couple. It wasn't like it was a date. They had been out for a little while. And when they were out there having drinks, about halfway through the night, the woman's like, hey, I don't feel so good, saying this to the guy. And she was starting to feel like she was coming down with something. Well, figured out later on that she got roofied. And it wasn't by him. He was her true boyfriend. He wasn't somebody who was just doing it to try to seduce her or anything like that. He did not do that. And they were trying to figure out what happened. And they couldn't figure out if it was like some sort of roulette that somebody was playing around the bar to, hey, let me just roofie a handful of drinks and see where it ends up. What they ended up finding out is it was the bartender that ended up putting roofie in the drink. And like you sit back and you're like, what was even the point of that? Like, did they fuck up and he meant to get somebody else? I mean, why get the woman who was with the guy? And it kind of like my cautionary flag went up to him, just like, what is even the point? And if they're doing that with a woman who was with somebody who was already looking out for her, what else is going on? So just, not that you're not already careful, but that one, I didn't see that one coming. Like other guys, other random people, but a bartender, I was like, Jesus. And now the one that I was just like, damn, like read an article or a video was sent to me, I forget which one, about guys who were going out on dates with women and dropping air tags or something similar to that effect in their purses so they can find out where they live. I was like, are you shitting me? So in the era of protecting yourself and looking out for each other and just having to worry about everything, that one was a little bit like, okay, level up, bitch, is what I felt like that version of crazy was. So not like you should take a lot of stuff out there with you, ID, credit card, some cash. Maybe that's about it. And then if a woman has, if you guys have your favorite lipstick and you feel like you need it or whatever it is that you feel like something small, something compact, by all means, fit it in your jeans, good to go. The less you take out with you, the better. That part, I was just like, man, why? I mean, I guess I understand why, but that one just seems flat sinister. That's the only word I could come up with when I heard that one. So I know you're going, Jesus, I don't even want to date. Like, I feel like sometimes married people who listen to this show are sitting there going, I don't give a shit what's going on in my marriage. I am not going out into the dating world. But really, it is great. It can be great. There is so many great people that you can get to know and people that you can meet and experiences that you can have. As long as you just do the things that you're supposed to do to take care of yourself and try to be ahead of the curve. That's all. So I feel like with this show, this is part of our responsibility that we should have is just, hey, here's the great, here's the bad, here's the awareness piece that you guys should have. And then go out there and live your best life. Because as I say, the pursuit of happiness is a motherfucker sometimes. So that's it. I'm going to end it at that one. I'm sure hearing me talk for 20 minutes or whatever it is long enough. So we'll get to the stories next week. In the meantime, look, just take care of each other and be safe. Thank you for being along for the ride of the Swipe Wrong podcast, where we take everyday people like you and me telling their everyday stories of their swipe right life. Show is produced by Jay Pelham. He is the host of Pelham Place. If you want to reach out to the show and tell us your story, we'd love to hear it. Give us a call. Google Voice us at 317-426-6616. Leave your information and we'll get back to you, or just your story. You can also email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. We are on Insta, Facebook, TikTok. We're out there. I am Chaos, the host of Chaotic Commentary. You can find me pretty much anywhere that you see me. And next week, the saga continues.
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong.